Okay, grade 7. This is the last lesson of chapter 7. Sorry, of chapter 6. So we're doing lesson 8, chapter 6, solving two-step inequalities. Things we have to remember so that we can be successful when doing this lesson. Okay? That is E. Alright, A. You need to know types of inequalities. You need to know them. There is no guessing. If you write the wrong one, your answer is wrong. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You have to remember at most means less than, at least means greater than. You have to remember that. You'll be given word problems. They will tell you to write an inequality. If you see the word sum, it means add. Minus, it means subtract. Difference, it means subtract. Quotient means to divide. Product means to multiply. Reduce means to minus. Increase means to add. Decrease means to subtract. When you see half, it means multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2 or divide by 2. Half means multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. If you see third, it means multiply by 1/3 or divide by 3. Okay? If you see quarter, it means multiply by 1/4 or divide by 4. Okay? You should know double. Double means multiply by 2. Twice means multiply by 2. Triple means multiply by 3, like that. So, some words you will see as you're reading inequalities. You'll be given a story, they will tell you to write it, and they'll tell you to solve. Okay? You also have to remember inverse operation. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Opposite of dividing is multiply. Opposite of add is subtract. Opposite of subtract is add. When solving, you're going to do 3 steps. Okay? In step 1, you will add or you will subtract. You can't do both. You do one of them. It will depend with the question. In step 2, you will divide or you will multiply. Okay? Here in step 2, you have to remember if you're dividing or multiplying, if you will divide or multiply by a negative value, then you need to change your inequality. You must change your inequality. Reverse. When I say change, I mean reverse. Okay? Sorry, I spelled it wrongly. Reverse the inequality. Okay? You have to remember to do that. And then in step 3, you have to check. Okay? So those are very important steps when you're solving. Alright, you have to remember when graphing. Greater than or less than, your circle is open or your graph is open. Less than or greater than, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, your graph is closed. Okay? So you have to remember that. If you remember all these things, especially this one, whenever your coefficient is negative, you will have to change, or you have to reverse your inequality. Okay? So let's do some examples. So this is your success criteria. Read carefully and correctly. Use the correct property when solving. Solve correctly. Check your solution correctly. Graph your solution. Graph the solution. You graph the solution correctly. Do your work neatly. Okay? So let's do, okay. All right. Negative 6m plus 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Okay. I draw my bridge. I will minus 7 because here we are adding. This becomes 0 because of additive inverse. I am remaining with negative 6m is greater than or equal to negative 12. Okay? Because this coefficient is negative, I will flip or I will reverse my inequality because I am dividing with a negative number. So I have m because this becomes 1. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 12 divided 6 is 2. And this is my solution. Then I will check. I will check with a number that is less than 2. So that is 1 or 0 or negative 1 or negative 2 or negative 3 or negative 4. So I will use negative 3. Check using negative 3. I go back to my question. Negative 6m plus 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Negative 6 multiply negative 3, because I'm checking using negative 3, plus 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. 18 plus 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. 25 is greater than or equal to negative 5. I am correct. And then I will graph. You graph your answer. This one is your solution. You don't graph this. You graph whatever is in the box. You draw your number line. You are going to the left. So here it is closed because of the equal sign. And you go that way. Okay? And so what have you done? You have solved. You have checked. And you have graphed. Those are the 3 things the question wants. Solve, check, graph. So, there. Let's do another example. All right. 8x minus 10 26. Sorry, plus 10. Draw your bridge. Opposite of adding is subtracting. You subtract on both sides. This becomes 0. This becomes 16. My coefficient is positive, so my inequality will not change. So it remains the same. X is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, this is my solution. I will use a number greater than 2. Okay, use a number greater than 2. I can also use 2 because I said it is equal to 2. Okay, but I'm going to choose a number greater than 2. So I will choose 7. I will use 7 to check. So checking with 7. Check with 7. So copy the inequality or copy the question. 8x, put your variable in a bracket, plus 10 greater than 26. 8 times 7 plus 10 greater than 26. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 10 is greater than 26. 66 is greater than 26. And I am correct. So let's check. 8 times 7 is 56. You should know your times table without the calculator. Okay? So we have gotten there. Now we need to graph. So graph, you draw your number line. When you graph here so that you remember. You have to graph here. So that if you do here, you'll forget. Come and graph where the answer is. All right, I need 2. I need it to be closed. And I am going to the right because my arrow is going to the right. Okay, we need to do one where we have to multiply. Here we've been dividing. Remember I said step 1, you add or you subtract. Remember that? Here in our notes in the beginning. Where is our notes? Here. Remember here I said step 1, you add or subtract. So if you look at this question, we subtracted. If you look at this question, sorry, what did we do here? Yeah, we subtracted. Yes. And if you look at this question, we subtracted. And then we divided. So I want us to do one where we will add and then we will multiply. Okay? So, all right. So we will write another example. 1/5 z minus 3 is less than 12. Okay, let's do that. We draw our bridge. We add 3 on both sides. Because of addition property of inequality, this becomes 0 because of additive inverse. This becomes 15. less than. Okay, my coefficient is positive, so I will not change. So I will do multiplicative inverse. I will multiply by 5 over 1 and 5 over 1. This becomes 1. Z is less than 15 times is 125? No. 75. 15 times 5 is 75. 15 times 5 is 75. Yes. Okay. And this is my solution. So to check, I need a number less than 75. Use a number less than 75. What number is less than 75? Let's just use 70. Let's use 20. So I will use 20. Use 20. Because 20 is a multiple of 5. So I don't have a decimal. I don't need to work with decimals. So let's check. And we are using 20. So 1/5 Z in brackets minus 3 is less than 12. 1/5 multiplied 20 minus 3 is less than 12. 1/5 multiplied 20 is 4 minus 3 is less than 12. 4 minus 3 is 1, which is less than 12. I am correct. So now I can graph. Remember, graphing comes after you check. Don't graph and then check, because you could be wrong. Okay? So come here and graph. Draw your number line. You're going this way to the left. See, your arrow is going to the left. So that means I need here, I need 75. My graph is open because there's no equal sign. And I'm going that way. Okay? And you make sure your graph touches like that. So it is clear that you graphed correctly. All right? Make sure you use a ruler when drawing. That's it. So we've done an example for multiplying. We've done an example for divide. You have to remember, if your coefficient is negative, change the inequality. You have to do that. Okay? If you don't do that, you'll be in trouble. When you're dividing by a negative number, your inequality has to reverse. If it was greater than, it becomes less than. If it was less than, it becomes greater than. Let's do a word problem. So when it comes to word problems, we have to remember those words, at least and at most. You have to remember these words, because if you write the wrong one, your answer will be wrong. All right, we're going to do, let's do this one. A rental car company charges 50 plus 2 dirhams per kilometers to rent. 2 dirhams per kilometer will be 2 and the variable. Okay? So then my variable, I want my variable to be M. I don't know. A, X. I don't know. 2x plus 50, because the question said plus. Okay? And then to rent a car. Mr. Bilal does not want to spend more than 500. Doesn't want to spend more than. He's greater than 500. He doesn't want to spend that. Okay? So, write and solve the inequality. So here you will not graph, because the question did not say you graph. Here the question says solve and check and graph. So here, you're only solving. You're not graphing. So when you solve, here you have to write. So here is step 1. This is step 1. You have done part 1 of the question. Part 2 of the question is you have to solve. So we are solving 2x plus 50, 500, minus 50, minus 50. This becomes 0 to x less than 450. Okay. Then divide by 2. Divide by 2. This goes away. X is 45 divided by 2 is 225. Okay. So here is your solution. Now let us check. We don't want to spend more than. We don't want to spend. Does not want to spend more than. Oh, see? I didn't read correctly. Does not want to spend more than. So this is wrong. You gotta put the less than. We have to spend less than. Okay? Let me write it correctly. 2x plus 50 should be less than 500. Subtract 50, subtract 50. This goes away because of additive inverse. 2x is less than 450. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X is 225. Okay, so this is the correct way of you solving. Remember, this goes away because of 1. Okay, now let us check. This is not correct. Even here, change this to less than. Because the question says does not want to spend more than. So that means he wants to spend less than. So when checking, we need a number less than 225. So let's try with 10. So we are checking using 10. So 2x bracket plus 50 is less than 500. So if it goes 10 kilometers, 2 times 10 plus 50 is less than 500. 20 plus 50 is less than 500. 70 is less than 500. Okay, so we have checked, we have seen it is correct. Alright, then we come back to see if we finished. Write and solve an inequality. We have done that to find how many kilometers he can drive and not spend more than 500. So we are going to say Mr. Bilal has to drive less than any kilometer less than 225. So that is your sentence. Mr. Bilal has to drive less than 225 kilometers to spend an amount less than 500 AED. So that's what that means. It means you have to drive less than 225. And that's what you do. Make sure you read. You see, if I read wrongly, I wrote the wrong inequality. So you have to make sure you read correctly. This is very important. Does not want to spend more than. That means less than. Okay?